Have you ever searched for something online, maybe expecting one thing, and then gotten kind of different results, even when you figure the information out there should be pretty much the same?
Happens all the time, right?
Yeah. So today, we're diving into why that happens, specifically when we're talking about analyzing information. We're comparing two methods, one called vector search and another called Ontology+Vector search. And you share some really fascinating evaluations comparing these two across different topics. And, well, we're going to unpack what they show.
Exactly. It's kind of like having two different detectives look at the same set of clues.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, one might just see the surface stuff, the obvious details, but the other one, they might start connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, how things actually relate.
Okay, so it's about the depth of analysis, even with the same starting material.
That's the core idea. We want to show why that second method, the one with the ontology part, often gives you a, let's say, richer, more insightful result.
All right, let's get into it then. These two methods, vector search and Ontology+Vector search. Can you break down the basic difference for us in simple terms?
Sure, so think of vector search like this. It's mainly looking at keywords and how words are used similarly. It finds connections based on, well, how often words appear near each other or in similar contexts.
So proximity and frequency.
Kind of, yeah. It's good at finding documents that talk about similar things. Now, Ontology+Vector search, it does it too, but it adds this extra layer. An ontology.
Okay, what's an ontology in this context?
It's like having a detailed knowledge map, almost. It defines concepts and, crucially, how they relate to each other. So it doesn't just see battery and electric car pop up together often.
It knows a battery is a component of an electric car.
Precisely. It understands those underlying relationships, is a part of, causes, things like that. It's that structured understanding that makes the difference.
Got it. So one sees word neighbors, the other understands the, family tree of concepts.
That's a great way to put it. And that understanding is why the results can be so different, even from the same sources.
Okay, this brings us to those evaluations you mentioned. Let's take the first one. It was about the future of cathode production, right? In Korean, Obiou Joanno Wen.
That's the one. And the feedback was interesting. Both reports generated were actually pretty good.
Okay.
But the report from the Ontology+Vector search, let's call it report 2, was seen as more comprehensive in some really key areas.
How so? What stood out?
Well, for one thing, depth and breadth. Report 1, the vector search one, gave a broader background, lots of general context.
Okay.
But report 2, using Ontology+Vector, was more focused. It was much clearer in its analysis of the specific market shifts and technology changes happening right now, more targeted.
So if you wanted to quickly grasp the core changes, report 2 might have been better. Less wading through general stuff.
That seemed to be the impression, yeah. It got to the heart of the matter more directly, probably because it understood the key relationships driving those changes.
And what about hard data? Numbers.
That was a big one. Report 1, the vector search, was mostly qualitative, lots of descriptions.
Right.
Report 2, though, it delivered specific quantitative data. Things like energy density figures, battery lifespan comparisons, even price points for different cathode materials.
Wow. Okay. That's a concrete difference. If you need numbers to back things up, that's huge. That's kind of an aha moment for why you'd want that deeper understanding.
Exactly. Vector search finds relevant text, sure, but it doesn't inherently grasp the meaning or structure of quantitative data within that text in the same way. The ontology helps identify and extract those crucial figures.
And trends, did they both pick up on future trends?
They both did, yes. But again, report 2 is more specific, more practical. It really dug into things like supply chain adjustments, the expansion of LFP batteries, innovative recycling.
Like that hydro to cathode thing mentioned.
Exactly, things like that. It wasn't just saying trends are happening. It was detailing which trends and how they connect, especially regarding next-gen tech and supply chains. It felt more grounded.
That makes sense. It's connecting the dots again. What about the environment, sustainability?
Report 1 mentioned cobalt ethics, recycling, kind of generally.
Right.
Report 2 went further. It specifically highlighted efforts around reducing carbon emissions and, again, brought up specific recycling tech like hydro to cathode. It framed these within the broader sustainability picture.
So a more nuanced take on the environmental angle, too.
It seems so. The ontology likely helps it recognize these specific initiatives as relevant parts of that bigger sustainability concept.
And the tech advancements themselves.
Similar pattern. Report 1 talked broadly about about next-gen materials. Report 2 gave concrete examples, solid-state electrolytes, hybrid cathode again, tangible things.
It's the difference between saying cool new stuff is coming and here's some of the cool new stuff.
Precisely. The ontology guides it to those specifics.
And overall, the outlook. The future view.
Report 1 gave a general direction. Report 2 presented a more specific, arguably more realistic view of the market and tech shifts. The evaluation deemed it more practically useful.
And there was a score, right? A quantitative evaluation.
There was. Report 2 scored 8.86 out of 10, while Report 1 scored 7.57. That's nearly a 17% difference in perceived quality.
Almost 70%. That's pretty significant. Okay, so clear advantages there for Ontology+Vector on a complex technical topic.
It certainly seems so in that case.
Let's move to the second example. SuperAgency own chess. Should we become a SuperAgency? How did the comparison shake out here?
This one was closer. Both reports showed good analytical depth, actually, but Report 2, the Ontology+Vector one, still edged it out slightly.
How? What was the edge this time?
It mainly came down to emphasizing practical applications more clearly, also structure and conciseness.
Tell me more.
Report 1, the vector search, was apparently well-structured, but maybe a bit less concise than Report 2. Report 2 got to the point more effectively, it seems.
Interesting. Maybe because it understands the core question better, it trims the fat.
That could be it. A clearer grasp of the central concepts might lead to more direct presentation.
And the data aspect. Did we see that pattern again?
We did, yeah. Report 1 had some survey data, but Report 2 apparently presented it more clearly, more concretely, again, making the data more impactful.
Okay. And trends related to becoming a superagency.
Both highlighted key trends, but Report 2 was noted as being more specific about the importance of employee experience and the acceleration of AI tech within that agency context.
Those sound like pretty crucial nuances for that kind of strategic question.
Definitely. Understanding how different parts of an organization, tech, people, goals interact is key, and the ontology likely helps map those interactions for a more detailed view of trends.
What about the ethics side, especially with AI being mentioned?
This was interesting. Report 1 mentioned AI ethics generally. Report 2, however, gave more concrete examples, things like needing specific AI ethics training programs or actively addressing data bias.
So moving from the abstract concept to practical implications again.
Exactly, making it more actionable, more real world.
But on technical advancements, like new AI models, they were rated similarly.
Yes, on that specific point, the evaluation found them comparable in specificity and innovation. So vector search isn't always lagging behind on every single metric. When it's about identifying specific named entities like AI models, it can do quite well.
That's a fair point. It's more about the connections and implications where ontology shines.
That seems to be the pattern, and the overall score reflected that slight edge. Report 2 got 8.71, Report 1 got 8.29. A smaller difference this time, about 5%, but still favoring Ontology+Vector.
Okay, still an edge. Now, the third example felt potentially the most complex, analyzing the U.S. tariff increase on Chinese batteries. What happened there?
Yeah, this one showed a really stark difference, according to the evaluations. Report 2, Ontology+Vector, was seen as much clearer and significantly more comprehensive.
A bigger gap this time. Why? Let's start with the depth of analysis.
Report 1 was rated as adequate, but it lacked in-depth examples and didn't really explore different scenarios of what might happen.
Okay, sort of surface level.
Maybe a bit, yeah. Whereas Report 2 really connected the dots. It linked the tariffs to geopolitical factors, the impact on various industries, detailed supply chain changes, just a much broader, more interconnected analysis.
That sounds like exactly what the ontology is supposed to help with, understanding that complex web.
Precisely. Trade policy isn't simple. It touches everything. The ontology seems to help map those complex relationships, economic, political, industrial.
And the data.
Yeah.
Please tell me, Report 2 nailed the data here.
Oh, it seems so. Report 1 listed relevant laws, tariff names, but didn't use the quantitative data extensively in the analysis.
But Report 2.
Report 2 provided detailed tariff numbers, the specific rates of change, effective dates, and crucially, the surrounding policy context. It used the data as evidence within the analysis.
That's critical for understanding the actual impact, isn't it? Not just knowing a tariff exists, but knowing the details.
Absolutely. Contextualized, specific data makes the analysis far more powerful and credible.
Okay, trends. How did they compare on identifying key trends related to these tariffs?
Report 1 mentioned things like reshoring and EV demand generally, broad strokes.
And Report 2?
much more specific. It detailed trends like the push for energy security, the specific effects of the Inflation Reduction Act, technology localization efforts, and it provided supporting evidence for these points. More granular, more substantiated.
Again, moving beyond just listing trends to analyzing the drivers and evidence.
Exactly.
What about environment and sustainability in this context? It seems less obvious here.
Report 1 made a brief note about potential ESG conflicts. Report 2 actually assessed the potential environmental impact of the supply chain shifts caused by the tariffs, and even considered carbon emissions linked to Chinese battery production. Thinking about those knock-on effects.
That's impressive. Connecting trade policy to environmental consequences.
It shows how that interconnected knowledge map can link seemingly disparate areas.
And technology, beyond just localization.
Report 1 noted a general need for innovation. Report 2 got specific, mentioning LFP and NCM battery technologies and the actual progress of U.S.-based battery manufacturing capabilities. Concrete tech examples relevant to the situation.
Right, the specifics again. And finally, the future outlook based on these tariffs.
This was another big differentiator. Report 1's outlook was less defined, a bit vague. Report 2 presented a scenario-based view.
Scenario-based.
Yeah, considering different potential futures based on how geopolitical, economic, and technological factors might play out. Things like short-term disruptions versus long-term U.S. self-reliance, or how the global value chain might restructure. Much more nuanced.
That sounds way more useful for strategic thinking.
That was the assessment. And the scores here showed the biggest gap by far. Report 2 scored 9.07.
And Report 1?
6.93.
Wow. That's over 30% difference.
Yeah, a 30.93% difference. On this complex, multifaceted issue, the Ontology+Vector approach provided significantly more value, according to the evaluation.
Okay, so summing this all up, across these different examples, technical deep dives, strategic question, complex policy analysis, we're seeing a clear pattern. Vector search is good at finding related stuff based on words appearing together, gives you relevant documents, a general idea.
It's a powerful tool for initial information retrieval, absolutely.
But adding that ontology layer, that map of how concepts actually relate, it consistently seems to provide, more specific details, especially hard data.
Yes, often more specific quantitative data.
A deeper analysis that really connects the different pieces of the puzzle.
Yes, a more interconnected and synthesized analysis.
More concrete, real-world example.
Tends to surface more tangible examples,
And maybe a clearer, more practical view of trends and future possibilities.
That's often the outcome, a more nuanced and actionable forward look.
All because it doesn't just see the words, it understands the meaning and relationships behind them.
That's the fundamental difference, that explicit understanding of the subject matter's structure. It moves beyond word association to concept association and relationship mapping.
So for you, the learner listening to this, when you're really trying to get your head around a topic, not just find keywords, but truly understand it.
The analysis method really matters.
Yeah. It seems this Ontology+Vector approach, because it grasps that underlying knowledge structure, can unlock a much richer, more insightful view. It gives you those aha moments.
It gets you closer to a complete picture, understanding the why and how, not just the what. Context and relationships are key.
So maybe think about that next time you're researching. How is the information being processed? Is it just finding similar words, or is there a deeper level of understanding at play? Could you be missing crucial connections?
It's a great question to keep in mind.
This deep dive really suggests that the smartest analysis isn't always just about having more information, but maybe about having a smarter way to understand the connections within the information we already have. Perhaps the future isn't just big data, but smart data understanding.